Welcome to another science class with me, Manoa. We're gonna talk about a program called Chem Fun, where we're going to be learning about something called colloids. But before we even start to talk about that, let's grab our materials. Grab the bag that has another bag of powder, a giant cup, some sticks, and a bunch of other stuff inside of there. And also from inside of your envelope, grab this piece of paper, the yellow piece of paper. This is the one that we need. And other things that we do need that are not included are 2 cups of water. Grab 2 cups of water and also a cup of milk and some measuring spoons. Specifically, we need these 2. We need a tablespoon and we also need a teaspoon. Okay, so those are the things that are not included that we definitely need. So before we continue on, I got a question for you guys. Do you know what milk, smoke, blood, mayonnaise, spray paint, and marshmallows have in common? I know that was kind of a hard question, but what they all have in common is that they are all examples of colloids.
Wait, colloid? What in the world is that?
Well, it's kind of a weird word, but it's actually a very simple thing. It's basically a mixture of little tiny things dispersed or mixed together with something else. Simple as it is. Okay, so all these things that I just mentioned, like the smoke, the blood, the mayonnaise, spray paint, the marshmallows, all of those things are examples of colloids. Okay, so again, it's just all these little tiny things mixed together with something else. So as an example, you could do this with me. Just go ahead and grab your cup of water and the milk. Okay, so this milk here is made up of little tiny things. And well, if I put it inside of here, take a look. Now it's starting to mix together with the water. If I just mix that together, now you can see it's getting a little bit cloudy, right? So where's the milk? Well, it's inside of the water. So since it's mixing together with something else with the water, well, this is an example of colloid. Okay, so also here is another example. Here we got ourselves, well, 2 liquids. We got oil on the top, we got water on the bottom, and right now they're not mixing. But the thing is, if I take this and I shake it, whoa, now where did the oil go? All the little tiny things inside of the oil is now mixed together with the water. Here's another example of a colloid. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we are going to make a colloid that we can use to paint. Here we go. All right, so let's make some finger paint. Grab yourself these things, the yellow piece of paper, a raft stick, the cup, and also inside of the cup is a very tiny color strip. Okay, so keep an eye out for that little guy. If it's not in there, it's probably inside of your bag, probably lost out of this cup. We do need both of the measuring spoon, a teaspoon and a tablespoon. Also the cup of water, the bag that has blue soap, and also the white bag of powder. This is cornstarch. All right, so these are all the things that we will be needing. So first thing we need to do is make sure that that color strip is inside of there. Okay, so just leave that inside of that cup, that 4-ounce cup, the small cup, and we want to put 2 teaspoons of water into there. So grab your teaspoon, measuring spoon. We want to take 2 scoops of those into that cup. So here we go. Here is 1 and here is 2. And you'll notice that that will start to change my color here. You can actually just go ahead and take your stick, just kind of mix that just a little bit. Don't need to do it for a long time. Just let it mix in there. Then the next thing that we want to do is we want to put the soap right into there. And with this one, it's pretty easy. Just take it out of the bag. There's one bag on the outside, but there's a smaller bag all the way inside. Just grab that little guy. There we go. Then just go ahead and open that one up. And we want to take out all of this soap and put it inside of the cup. There we go. So now just go ahead and take all of that, all of it, and just pour it all out right into there, just like that. All right. Then we don't need that bag anymore. And next thing we want to do is just kind of mix that together, mix the soap together with the water and also the color strip in there. Mix it up pretty good. Okay, this part is ready. Then all we need to do now is just add some of the cornstarch. So this time we're not going to use the teaspoon anymore. We're going to be using the tablespoon. All right. So I want to just open this up. Be very careful with this because we don't want to spill this everywhere. So you just want to take 2 good scoops of this what do you call it? This cornstarch. Now there's a good way of doing this, which is you want to fill up your spoon with this stuff. All right, so we're just gonna grab some of that, what do you call it? Cornstarch. And I guess a good thing to do is you could just kind of shake it a little bit. If there's some kind of overlapping the top of the spoon, then you could just kind of wipe that right back into there so it's nice and flat. See how it's nice and flat? Okay. We want to do that 2 times. So here's 1, then do it again. Take a good, nice scoop of that. Oh, I could do it inside of the bag. Ta-da! I'm wiping from the outside, actually. That way it doesn't get all over my fingers. Anyway, just as you can see, we got it nice and flat like that, and just scoop it right into there. And that is good. Let me just wipe my hands really fast. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this together, and then eventually we want it to be the same consistency, kind of like smoothie, or a kind of like peanut butter almost. Okay, so just keep on mixing it. Mix all of that cornstarch. Make sure you get the corners. Okay, don't just mix right in the middle. Get all of the corners. Get all of that white powdery cornstarch as best as you can. Okay, and then eventually it should be a good, nice consistency here. Okay, and here we've basically mixed together the tiny little things in here with the water, with the soap, making a colloid, right? Like how we just talked about. But also at the same time, we could actually finger paint with this. Painting with our fingers. Okay, so that's exactly what we're going to do here. We're just going to take some of this stuff and we're going to use our fingers to paint it on this piece of paper that we have right here. So as we are doing this, you could draw whatever you want. You could draw mom or dad, you could draw Mega Manoa, whoever you want. You could draw yourself, you could draw happy face, whatever it is. Okay, so just go ahead and take your finger, dip it in, okay? And go ahead and just start drawing like this, okay? See? Just draw whatever you want. Here, I'm going to draw a little tiny happy face. So as I'm doing this, as you are coloring and drawing whatever you're drawing with your finger paint, a little fun fact I want to tell you guys is that what we're doing here is we're being a lot like the ancient cave people, okay? So there used to be people who lived in caves, and they used to also draw in a cave. But what do they use? Well, they didn't have paintbrushes and they didn't have paint like we do, but instead they used finger paint. Okay, and these were, made by people dating back to about 40,000 years ago with these ancient Homo sapiens.
People have been painting for 40,000 years? Wow, that's amazing.
I know, right? Yeah, so what they would do, well, how do they get their paint, right? There wasn't a paint store nearby. So how do they do that? Well, they used a clay mixture like ochre, okay? And they would mix that with other elements from the earth to change the colors. Kind of like, they would sometimes use certain types of soils or even sand or certain types of plants even, right? To change the colors. And once they're able to change the colors, they would draw something. They would draw a bull, they would draw a people, whatever it is that they drew. And what's amazing is that some of these things that they drew are even there even until today. And you could go find them because they're still there until today. Now, of course, we don't do the same way of painting. Nowadays, The paint that we use are made up of a whole bunch of different types of chemicals. Usually it's synthetic, meaning things that we have made. But in any case, I finished drawing my little tiny painting. Doesn't it look like me? Well, what did you guys make? I hope you guys had a lot of fun with this one. About 350 years ago lived one of the greatest and most influential scientists ever. Do you know who it was? It was me, of course. Not because I didn't live 350 years ago. Actually, it was a man by the name of Isaac Newton. He was the one who discovered the principle of gravity, how things fall, and also the laws of motion.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, right? Yeah, it was so amazing. He discovered all those things. He also even understood the way that liquids and fluids are able to move, right? Normally, liquids, they move the same exact way. Like, as an example, if I took a squeezy bottle of water, if I squeeze it really hard, the water's gonna shoot out really fast. But not all liquids behave in the same way. And the ones that don't behave in the same way are what we call non-Newtonian fluids. So let's see how that works. Well, here I got just a regular cup of water. Behaves normally. If I slap it, if I hit it, definitely moves very fast. However, here I have a non-Newtonian fluid that if I hit, look, it's not splashing at all. As a matter of fact, it's moving a lot different. It's behaving a lot different than regular water. Of course, it's still a liquid because, as you can see, I could pour it out just like regular water, but of course, it's going really slow, just like honey. But something else you can't do with regular water is you can't really grab this stuff and start forming it and playing with it as if it's kind of like a solid. Look, I'm holding this in my hand. Look at that, that's crazy. It's just like a solid, but then when I stop moving, it just goes down really slow, just like that. Pretty cool, right? And it's definitely not behaving like water because you can't play with water like this. So since it's not behaving like a regular liquid, this is what we would call a non-Newtonian fluid. And so you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna make one of these. Here we go. Then let's make some of that non-Newtonian fluid I was just playing with earlier. Some people call it Oobleck. So we still need that bag of cornstarch and the cup of water, the larger bowl that came from the bag with everything, and we also would be needing our tablespoon in this case. So first thing we want to do is we want to put some water into this bag. Okay, so let's start off with 4, and if it still feels a bit too powdery, okay, then we can add a little bit more at a time. We don't want to add too much water. We don't want it too watery, right? So let's start off with 4 tablespoons of water into this bag of cornstarch. So let's just do 4 of those. 1, 2, right into the bag. 3, and 4. Okay, let's start off with that. Then let's zip that up. And let's just kind of move it around with our fingers. Mix it together. And remember, if yours, because sometimes we kind of miss a few of the water while we're scooping from the tablespoon. Sometimes my scoop is a little bit more or less than yours. Okay, so just to be sure, again, if it's too thick, and if it doesn't run like a liquid, like as you can see, mine is not really running like a liquid, and then add a little bit more. Do 1 tablespoon at a time. Add 1 extra tablespoons at a time. Okay, so I'm gonna open this up because mine's not running like water, so I'm just gonna add 1 tablespoon here. And if that's still not enough, I'm gonna add another 1. So in this case, we're just gonna kind of eyeball it. We're just going to try to see where it is. Okay, oh, that's loosening up a lot more, which is good. Make sure you mix it with all of the ones on the bottom too. So sometimes the ones on the bottom are really powdery, whereas the ones on the top, it's very liquidy, as you can see. But again, you really want to mix it in together with everything in there. And it would be good if you kind of collect it all in one corner. So if I kind of hold it like this and it starts to kind of drip down towards that area, and it's just a little bit easier to mix all of that I have inside of there. But as you can see, mine's a lot more watery, right? As you can see, it's a lot more watery. Now, I wouldn't go more. I wouldn't add another tablespoon here because it's gonna be just way too watery, okay? And we don't want that to happen. You want it to still feel, actually, when you squeeze this, you could feel that it feels hard when you squeeze it, whereas if you compare that to, you know, squeezing a bag of water, it doesn't feel the same way, okay? So again, you want it to be flowing a little bit, but you don't want it to flow too much. You still want to feel that it's hard when you squeeze it. So I think mine is at a good spot here. But again, if you feel like you need to mix some more, go ahead. And if yours is way too powdery and it's not moving like that, then add a little bit more water, okay? But again, you don't want to add too much. So what we want to do next is, after you feel like you've made it pretty well, we're going to pour it out into the bowl so we can play around with it. All right, so I'm just going to open this up. And let's just take this, and you could see while it's being poured out, it's going really slow. It doesn't behave like our regular water because it's this non-Newtonian fluid, right? It's behaving a lot different than regular liquids and fluids, right? So just take out as much as you can. Okay, it doesn't have to be everything. But after that, then we could play around with this and see how this non-Newtonian fluid really works. All right, so there we go. All right, and there's our non-Newtonian fluid, right? If you try to hit it, see that? If you try to hit it, as you can see, it's not splashing at all, right? Just like how I showed you earlier. Try even picking it up, right? And then just try kind of like forming it into a ball. You could try to do that too, right? And you'll see that when you move it fast, when you move it really fast, it acts more like a solid than it does a liquid. But that's what's really cool. Even if you try to run your fingers through it really hard and fast, you can see I can't really move that fast, and you can see it's kind of really splitting all the little tiny pieces inside of this cup, right? As you can see, just like that. Really different, really weird. And that's why this is called non-Newtonian fluid. Pretty cool, right? So for our final experiment, we're going to be using a colloid to make a squeezy ball. So these are the parts that we would be needing. We need the cup of water again, the tablespoon, and the balloon, and this gel powder bag, and this little tiny paper funnel. All right, so what we want to do first is we want to take the gel powder bag and pour it into this balloon that we have here. Now let me just blow it up. If yours is kind of stuck together, just gently blow it. It's going to open it up a bit. And what we want to do next is just take the funnel right on the top, and we just want to pour out all of that powder that's inside of here into our balloon. Okay, so let me open this up first. There we go, nice and open. And hold this up, hold your funnel up just like that, and we're just going to pour that all inside of there. That's good. Okay, just kind of shake up the top, make sure it's all the way in, all the way at the bottom. I can feel it in the bottom. Good. Then what we want to do is we want to add some water into there. And what we have inside of here is the powder that we have inside of here is going to soak up that water, and it's going to kind of expand a bit, and we're going to tie it, and it's going to feel very squishy. Okay, but we want to take 4 scoops of this, 4 tablespoons of this water into there, and here we go. Let's do 1, nice and easy. Here's 1, and here's 2, and here is 3, and 1 more, 4. That's good. All right. Now, the way we tie this is try not to tie it too high. Try not to tie the knot too high. Just kind of have it a little bit closer to where it starts to get a little bit wider. Okay, so here I go. I'm just going to tie it like that. And give it a second. Give it a few minutes actually to start to expand, but eventually the water is going to mix together with the powder that we had inside of that. And once it mixes together, it feels, it feels kind of squishy. Ooh, it's actually getting better. Oh, the longer I wait, the more it feels really weird. It's very squishy. I kind of like it. But yeah, we used the colloid to make this really squishy thing. Whoa. That was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun talking about these colloids, even about discoveries that Isaac Newton was able to have, and even playing with this really interesting liquid here. So I hope you guys had a lot of fun. Again, this has been Mega Manoa, and until next time, I will see you at home. Goodbye. Goodbye. Want to give a big thank you to our guest scientist for today. Thank you, you did such a great job. And if you guys want to be a guest scientist, just shoot us an email and we'll see what we can do about getting you on the show with Mega Manoa. Ooh. Yeah, so just shoot us an email and then we'll see you soon.